It's Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Now, here are your hosts, Corey and Mason.
Hello and welcome to Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Mason Schmidt, here with my best bud, Corey Knudsen.
Ew.
If you've watched us once or at all, or if you've seen any other movie podcast or YouTube video, we're just going to talk about movie news. We're going to talk about new releases that we've seen, what we watched throughout this week aside from the new releases, also develop new developments within the world of movies, and then touch and base on some physical media releases and stuff like that. Corey, how you been, and what are we drinking today?
We got some Modelo's,
Yeah.
sort of in honor of one battle after another. Also, there's a big Mexican family having some sort of celebration across the street. I got home from work a little while ago and just heard the music bumping. Yeah. They're always having a good time. They light off fireworks 4th of July. Yeah. They're playing music. They're dancing in the back, probably having some great food. So that's fun. No, I'm doing good, man. I spent this morning before work just watching a trifecta of sports. Baseball, the last few regular season games are on. Playoffs are starting soon, so that's fun. College football's on all day. Watching game day. Pat McAfee takes his shirt off, getting the fucking Penn State crowd cheered up, even though they lost tonight. And then a little Ryder Cup, a little golf. Americans are getting fucked.
They haven't made any sort of leeway in terms of coming back. I heard from yesterday that Europe took a pretty substantial lead.
They bent us over today a little bit too, so we're gonna need a godlike performance tomorrow.
Sweet. But
love just sitting just vegging out on the couch watching sports. It was a great time.
Matt, we have an early game. If you can't tell, I'm wearing my favorite football player of all time, his jersey, Antonio Gates from the San Diego Chargers. Yes, the San Diego Chargers before they're the shitty LA Chargers. Still love the Chargers, but why are they in LA? No one cared about him in San Diego. No one really cares about him now except for Justin Herbert just boning down Madison Beer, and now he's just on a fucking tear this year, going 3-0. I can't wait to watch him this weekend. But we also have the Vikings game. Sadly, only because of this reason, it's sad that it's playing at 8:30 a.m., at least our time. So they were playing in Dublin against Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So mostly just Aaron Rodgers and Tomlin and then the rest of them. Actually, they got Metcalf. So we're having an early morning. We have a late night tonight, so it's going to be a quick turnaround. But I'm excited to watch the Vikings tomorrow morning, have some pancakes and beer at fucking 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
So I'm pretty sold on that. Aside from that, we did have somewhat of a substantial movie watching week, mostly just in terms of the major release I think we'd focus on, which is One Battle After Another, which obviously, Corey brought this up, was the motivation behind the Modelo's. There's an amazing scene any scene in this movie is amazing, but Leonardo DiCaprio and Benicio del Toro in a car, and they're just slamming Modelo's, and then they drive in front of a cop car that immediately throws their lights on, and I was just like, damn, a Modelo sounds sublime right now. But One Battle After Another, it is the much highly anticipated film coming from director Paul Thomas Anderson, obviously the director of There Will Be Blood, Inherent Vice, Punch Drunk Love, Licorice Pizza, Boogie Night, just an awesome filmography from this director. A champion of independent filmmaking. This film is starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, Chase Infinity, and Tony Goldwyn. It's a movie about revolutionaries and kind of things that you've done in your past. Now you're getting hunted down for it. There's a lot of political commentary, socio-political commentary within this film, and surprising amounts of brevity and humor. It's a thrilling movie. It's a long movie, but it was a movie we were really excited for. Getting into this week, I heard a lot of kind of chatter about this movie and just the positive acclaim that it's been getting so far. So it really kind of stoked the fire for me, and I quickly this movie bounced to the top of my highest anticipated films for the remainder of 2025. Got to see it this week. You got to see it too. Corey, what were your thoughts on this movie?
This is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Yeah.
I really dug this movie, and I mentioned in other weeks that Paul Thomas Anderson is pretty hit or miss for me. I really like There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights, but then like Phantom Thread and Licorice Pizza, which I bought, I guess. I don't love those movies. I don't love The Master. I don't love Punch Drunk Love. So it's kind of, it really is hit or miss. But this one was so enjoyable. You mentioned the length, and it's about 2:45 or 2:40. It did not feel that way to me. It was so well paced. I think that the movie is pretty clearly 3 acts, and I think the back 2 acts are the strongest. Not to say I didn't enjoy the first one, but the performances in this movie are great. Leo puts in an Oscar-worthy performance. Sean Penn is incredible in this movie.
Borderline steals the movie for me.
One of the scariest villains that's not in like a big superhero movie or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like a real dude who's this military general just hunting down these revolutionaries. And he feels so robotic.
Yeah.
And his walk is just like, it's so, I don't even know how to describe
very
it.
militant. It's just so hard-edged, disciplined, and he's not like a mustache-twirling villain. Yes, he has motivations, and he has things that he needs to kind of take care of or silence and clear up in his history, so that he is able to pursue things that matter to him, which we'll probably get into. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up talking a little bit about spoilers, just because there's some really awesome aspects of this movie that I really appreciated. But yeah, the performances across the board, Sean Penn was easily, for me, him and Chase Infinity steal this movie.
Chase Infinity, in her debut film performance, I know she was in Presumed Innocent, the limited series, but she was great here. The rest of the cast you mentioned, Benicio del Toro is not like a huge player in this movie. He's always in the background doing shit as other people are doing main things. But he's so funny in this movie.
He cracked me the fuck up in
Yeah.
almost every scene he's in. And also just like his camaraderie and chemistry with Leonardo DiCaprio, where they're balancing each other out in scenes where sometimes Leo's really chaotic and Benicio del Toro's character is always just like zen and to the point and no, follow me, we're gonna do this and this is how we're doing it. And then they get cops chasing him while they're slamming Modelo's in Benicio del Toro's car, and he's like, okay, finish that, stuff it in your backpack, get out of the car. And I was just like, okay, I love this.
This movie, I thought it could have been in danger of trying to tackle too many things. I think, a big theme, at least in the first act, is kind of immigration, which is obviously a big theme currently in the world. Also, political violence. It kind of touches on both of those right away. So I could see a lot of people really being turned off by this movie if you're just not wanting to kind of experience that, just with the current climate we're in. But I think it does a fine job of not necessarily picking a side.
Yeah.
And I think it does explore that well of this group of revolutionaries and tracking them. We do kind of a time jump in the second and third acts. Leo's been out of the game for a bit. He's just a stoner, just getting high, watching movies.
Very paranoid. Government's after him. They're probably going to come find him. He doesn't have a phone. His daughter can't have a phone.
He's confused about his daughter's friends coming over to the house. Whoa, who's that? Who's this?
You gave him our address?
He's like, oh, a little loud coming up in the car, huh? So it's got a lot of great stuff there. Balances the humor with kind of some more serious themes too. Like even with Leo, kind of the theme of addiction. Just he's addicted to drugs and alcohol. And then I think kind of the main thing is the relationship between like a mother and daughter that relationship never got to form, and then between a father and daughter, and just such an interesting upbringing of where they came from. The daughter didn't really know that at all.
Yeah.
And Leo knows that background and the history of the mother and everything. So I think it handled all that stuff really well. I think if I did have any flaws with the movie, I think that the ending, which I don't know that will spoil it really, but the ending feels a bit odd for how they portray a character, I'll say, and kind of in light of what that character has done and what we saw that character do throughout the movie.
Are you talking about the letter?
Yes, the letter at the end of the movie. Because I think with Sean Penn being such a big villain in the movie, and he is a very memorable one, that it sort of almost tricks you into not thinking that the other characters aren't also bad, even though they do a lot of bad shit. Like, they're, in the beginning of the movie, they're blowing up buildings because they don't agree with somebody else's political views, which, hey, so that's happening in the real world too. Crazy. So I think it's a weird thing where they don't do quite enough to redeem that character specifically, and even this group of revolutionaries as a whole. And I could have used just a little bit more of that to kind of feel like, all right, I understand this heartfelt moment at the end, but then when I thought back to the beginning of the movie, I'm like, well, you weren't the best person in the world. Like you
were kind of more radical of the revolutionaries. Like you were kind of spearheading some of the more like not violent, but those more radical things. And like, hey, we don't kill people, and then something happens in that first act where it's like, oh, a line has now been crossed. It's like, okay, now we're going down a slippery slope, and things are being established here.
I could have used just a little bit more of like understanding the intentions, and maybe not executing them the right way. I think it could have been just a quick little simple fix. Not that it ruins the movie or anything, just kind of a little flaw there. But this one, like I said, is one of my favorites of the year. There's an incredible car chase at the end of this movie that has some of the best cinematography I've seen, where it's just a very hilly scene, and the camera is just kind of still hovering as you see the car come over. Goes down, the camera just stays until the car comes back over. The car behind it, you see that come over the hill. Incredible stuff. I just want to mention the score by Johnny Greenwood is incredible. It's
underrated part of this movie, because I think the cinematography is going to be a flashy thing. The performances are obviously great. There's great humor and the cinematography. But like those things are very flashy. A lot of the times I didn't notice the score, and it wasn't until like thinking back on it, I was like, this is kind of a fucking heater of a movie in all aspects. But the score is very much, I think, going to be an underrated aspect of this film, because I think across the board, craftsmanship, fucking expert level. Like everything is just dotting the I's and crossing their T's. Like everything is perfect in this movie, and I think that score might get lost a little bit in the shuffle, but it's so good, and it works, especially in that chase scene, to heighten the suspense. You're relying on camera angles and the geography to help build suspense, but also that score kicking in when it does, it's phenomenal. So
it does such a good job, especially in the middle act of the movie, where the middle act is like essentially Leo just panicking and just dropping, trying to hide from the police, and trying to find Benicio del Toro, and it's all just kind of taking place in this, just following these characters, and the score helps so much to propel that, of just kind of being like these piano notes. It's just like dun 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 dun, dun. Like it just keeps it going, moving at such a nice pace. So this movie is just a masterclass. You mentioned it. Even the Paul Thomas Anderson movies I haven't enjoyed. They're so well made. Like they're movies that I appreciate and respect a lot, even if I don't vibe with them all the time. Also, just one of the funniest movies of the year. This movie had me fucking laughing.
Quietly, one of the funniest movies of the year too.
Hilarious.
Like you wouldn't go into this thinking like I'm gonna be laughing a whole lot. Sometimes, like, all right, Leo's in this movie. I know what he's capable of, even in a more serious role. Like he's a hilarious guy. And it's like I just think back to the Rick Dalton, him going into the trailer like, do. You practice your lines and now don't look like you're just him.
8 goddamn whiskey sours.
Like it just, and that kind of even bleeds through into this. Like you can tell that there is a massive amount of respect and understanding and collaboration between actor and director, between PTA and Leo, and just the like. I want to know what was in the script and what wasn't, because like there's a phone call where he's, and you've seen it in the trailer, where he's at the payphone and he's just really letting into some dude because he doesn't have specific code names or code words that would get him access to this rendezvous point that he needs. And I'm watching that, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if all of this is just straight from the dome. Like, this is all from Leo. And like you said, it's quietly one of the funniest movies of this year. And you get a lot of that with the chemistry and the camaraderie between Benicio del Toro and Leo. Also, some of Sean Penn's dialogue, his exchanges. Like, he is the antagonist. He is the villain of this film. But there are just, like, quippy things where he chooses to fixate on specific things in a conversation where it's like, why are you bringing that up? Like, why does that matter? Like this the jet ski debacle thing. And I like how they kind of, it is a political movie and it touches on political things that are still relevant today and honestly really relevant today. But I think it does a good job at like kind of distancing itself a little bit. It doesn't look to label anyone or specifically list people in our modern world, in our real world. And I'm like, I appreciate that this is a thing that we can enjoy and look at parallel to what we're experiencing, and there's not a lot of intersecting points. And it's just something that this is a fictional story, but it does apply to what's going on today. So I'm like, I appreciate that much. PTA, quality-wise, I don't think he's missed. I think he makes great films. I just don't always love the films that I see. Like, I love Punch Drunk Love. I think that movie is a 10 out of 10. It's my favorite PTA movie. I think The Master is visually stunning. Performance-wise, stunning. Just don't have a whole lot of connection there with that movie. So, like, there's things where it just kind of wavers for me. Obviously, There Will Be Blood is maybe one of the best American-made films of the 20th century, 21st century. I love this movie. I think it is expertly handled in every aspect. I honestly don't have really a flaw with it. I think it's paced really well. I never really felt the runtime, and I also never wanted it to end. The characters have great motivations. The villain is very much a monumental, imposing figure, and it works, even though it's Sean Penn. And I see the lifts in your shoe, like that line between him and Chase Infinity. I was like, fuck. But Chase steals this movie. Sean Penn is a awesome villain. I wouldn't be surprised if both of them, Leo, anyone gets an acting nom. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a directing nom at the Oscars or a Best Picture nom. I think it's easily solidified a shoe-in for one of those 10 spots. I will say, as much as I love this movie, and it's not my favorite PTA, but it's up there. It's in like that top 3, which those movies, all of his movies are well made. It's just some of them are really like they hit me and they work. And this is one of them. But I have a little bit of a bone to pick with modern representation of like film critique, the way films are talked about. Oh, the movie's a piece of shit. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. Oh, this is the best movie ever made just because it was good. This movie is, honestly, craftsman-wise, borderline perfect to me. I wouldn't change a single thing. I loved everything I saw in this movie. But I saw also, in the build-up to seeing this movie, a lot of conversation of this being the best film of the decade. Whether it's the 2020s or actually going back 10 solid years and we're looking at 2015 to now, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm so annoyed by how quick people are to label things. This movie came out this week. Granted, sure, there were viewings earlier this year and in the time leading up to the release, and there's festival stuff. I get that. This movie just came out for audiences, and we're saying it's the best film of the decade. I saw that a number of times, and it's just, can we let the movie breathe for a minute? Can we let people see it and just let it exist before we say that? Because while I think this movie's perfect, while I love it, and while it's a great PTA movie, it's not better than Decision to Leave. It's not better than Oppenheimer. It's not, like, there are so many movies of this past decade that I would say, yep, this is better than One Battle After Another. It's still a great movie. And the fact that I don't think it's the best movie of the decade is no freaking slight to this movie. I think it's phenomenal. But I'm just so tired of how quick people are to have that quippy thing of like, I'm going to be the one that takes the stand and says this is the best movie of the decade. Isn't that a controversial? Shut the fuck up. Just, do you actually think that? And also, if you do, you're going to have to back it up a lot because I'm like, I have 40 cases to where I'm like, nope. And which all film is subjective, I get it. But, and this is more of just like arguing about like, well, actually, I like this one more, so fuck you, and like whatever. But best film of the decade. Can we just settle down? It's a great movie. Let it exist for a while. It's not even my favorite movie of this year. It is a great movie, and it's going to easily make my top 10. But it's not my favorite movie of this year. So I'm just like, just pump the brakes a little bit. Let's just give it some time to exist and let it breathe.
The only positive I would say comes out of those clickbaity type things is that it causes people to go see it. Yeah. Which, see this movie in a theater. The movie looks great.
Filmed in IMAX.
Yeah, and it was VistaVision.
VistaVision, yeah.
Which they shot The Brutalist on last year. It was like back in the 60s, I think it was. And it looks incredible. It's really, really great. But yeah, I mean, I agree. People are very quick to try and like put a big statement, the Blu-ray, the statement on there, like this is the best thing of the whatever.
And since physical media has kind of gone a little bit to the wayside, sadly, I feel like people need to put it out there in the world on social media. This is the best movie of the decade. It's like, just take a breather, maybe watch it more than one time before you say that. Maybe just like sit with it.
Yeah,
it's a great movie though.
It's great. Yeah, like I mentioned, I really loved almost every aspect of it. Just those couple little flaws that I mentioned of just a little bit more character work to make them a bit more redeemable in a sense.
I'm only going to press you on this because you informed me of this before taping and also read some of the lines to me. But what are some of your favorite lines from this movie that you jotted down that you remember?
Yeah. So
this might be spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler if you don't want to know anything about the movie.
I'm guessing not all of these really give away about the plot. It's just more of like circumstantial, dialogue-driven scenes where it's just like, what did they just say? Like, this movie kind of shocked me at times where I was like, oh, we're saying that word now again? All right, sweet. Like,
100%. So the first kind of section that I had down was when Leo and his daughter are at their house and some friends come to pick her up to go to the dance. And Leo's just, like I said, he's just smoking there, just like watching a movie or whatever. And then they roll up, he's whoa, who's this? And then he's like, all right, well, you got to take this tracker thing with you so I know where you're at. Yeah. And the dude's knocking on the door, and Leo just opens the door. It's like, hey, homie, hi, you knock on everybody's door that loud? Yeah, SA, you doing that? to this Mexican kid at the door.
Very much like Rick Dalton, get your mechanical asshole off my you can see aspects of that performance kind of bleed through over here, which I'm not mad about.
Oh, it's great. When Leo is in Benicio del Toro's dojo and he's just panicking, he wants a gun. He wants a gun really bad. He's like, God damn it, man, I need a gun. All he got is nunchucks around here. As he's just dropping to the floor with his big shades and his robe on. The last one I wanted to point out is from Sean Penn in the last little bit of this movie here. He's trying to defend his actions, and
he doesn't really have a leg to stand on, we'll just say.
Yeah.
Which leads into this being just one of the most, like, what the fuck did he just say?
There's a conversation throughout the movie of whether Sean Penn had relations with a black woman, because there's, another theme, I guess, that we didn't really touch on is, like, this kind of white supremacist type group of, like, higher up elites in the corporate system, whatever. And he wants to get into that group. And
Christmas adventurers is what they're
Christmas adventurers, yeah.
Loved.
And so Sean Penn at the end of the movie is trying to defend himself, and he's like, "Yeah, well, I think I got raped in reverse." And everyone's like, "What does that mean? What does that phrase mean?"
Explain that. What do you mean by that?
It is one of the funniest, just wildest lines I've heard in a movie.
It's a wild line, and then him having to go on the defense and explain it.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, I get what you're going for, but whoa, what are you saying right now? Sean Penn, fucking, in some of his most chilling scenes where he is just a robot behind the eyes, he is saying some of the best, craziest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That would make me laugh and be like, oh my god, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
So, not that he's a hero in this movie. He's not. He represents kind of a lot of horrible shit that could be happening in the real world. Not gonna try and smooth over that, but in this movie, being a work of art, subjective medium, works so well. Very funny, and this movie didn't miss for me at all, and I was so not like necessarily surprised by that, but I had expectations I was probably going to like this movie, and I did not anticipate liking it as much as I do, loving it as much as I do, and eager to see it again. Also, what you mentioned, go see it in theaters. I got to see it in a packed theater, and I got to listen to everyone kind of, because not every joke is super, like, obvious, and sometimes lines can read weirdly to other people in the audience, but the amount of shit that really landed for my audience was just, like, really a nice thing to feel, like, communally. But also, it makes me really happy that this is a movie from Warner Brothers. Obviously, they have had a gangbusters year, an all-time year for them, making, 6 movies in a row with $40+ million box office earnings. I know One Battle After Another isn't necessarily looking to make necessarily that much, but I saw it in a full theater. And this is very much a big-budget indie film. Like, it's crazy to see a 2-hour, 40-minute movie of this nature, of this stature, on the big screen with a packed audience, where the people next to me are like, yeah, so what's your favorite PTA movie? And I'm like, I love this. Like, it's something that I don't, like, you and I are film nerds, and there are people that are big into film, know more than me and know less than us, and it's just something so satisfying hearing other people chatter throughout the theater of like, yeah, so what'd you think of The Mask? Like, just talking about things that I'm like, oh, I thought I was the only one. And, like, from the sounds of it, this movie worked on a lot of people in the theater. And I had one very vocal member of the theater of just like, don't do that. And I'm like, you know what? Usually this pissed me off, but fuck it, this is good. This is good. I'm happy that you're reacting to this in this way. So, great time at the theaters, great movie. It's worth your time.
Yeah, I think it very smartly, just kind of as a last point on that, after that first act where it brings up a lot of those themes, it kind of shifts its focus a bit to just Leo trying to rescue his daughter, and that's the rest of the movie. I think that's a very smart move, knowing the types of themes and knowing where we're at right now.
It just establishes the world, and it's like, all right, well, this is the story in this aftermath, basically.
Yep. So big recommendation from us. Go see it in theaters. It's great.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like, I said top 10, but it'll be in, like, I think top 5 easily for me. Yeah. If there's 5 movies better than this movie this year, we have a great year. So I'm so excited.
In the Oscar conversation, so we'll be bringing this one up as we get into later this year and early next year. This week, I also caught up on a couple movies. I had my Peacock subscription, and I was like, you know what? I watched the paper on there a couple weeks ago. Let me check out some other new movies. decided to watch Drop, which came out earlier this year in the spring. And it's directed by Christopher Landon, who's done the 2 Happy Death Day movies, which I know you have a love-hate relationship with.
Yeah.
And he did Freaky from a couple years ago, which I really enjoyed. And the movie stars Megan Fahey and Brandon Sklenar. And basically, Megan Fahey is a widowed mother who's going out on her first date after a very traumatic event happened in her past. Brandon Sklenar is the date, and they're at this kind of fancy, high, up in this high building restaurant, sort of like a Final Destination Bloodlines.
Almost like a Space Needle type thing,
yeah.
like Seattle.
It's up at a restaurant that's high up, and once she gets there, she starts getting these airdrops to her phone, and essentially saying that like somebody is going to kidnap her daughter and her sister who's watching her daughter if she doesn't kill her date and doesn't do all these things that he's asking of her. So... kind of an interesting setup, also sort of based on a true story. I think it's some of the producers of this movie, like, knew someone or heard a story from someone about being on a date, and they like got like airdropped these really weird like memes and all this other weird stuff. So they kind of used that.
The light premise inspired this. Okay.
It's the actual events of this movie aren't, but like the idea behind it. So
murder your fucking date.
Yeah. Whoa. Okay. So this is one that I didn't like. I remember you talking about it, and you said it's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of went in not having big expectations. I actually really dug this movie a lot. I had a really fun time with it. I think it's a really nice kind of old school thriller. Honestly, it's just kind of simple to the point. It gets to it.
One location.
Yeah,
mostly
one location. And I think it also does have some good themes underneath it that elevate it beyond just being a kind of typical thriller like a phone booth or Red Eye or something like that. Megan Fahey, I really like her in this movie.
She was great, yeah.
I haven't seen her in a lot of stuff, but I know she was in The White Lotus and some other things, which I feel like she's going to keep popping up and stuff for sure. But there's a lot of great stuff with her in this movie about this domestic violence situation she went through in the early part of the movie. It's the first scene that you see. It's very kind of violent and graphic. And you get that throughout the movie, and she's very hesitant to go out on the stage just because of this domestic abuse she went through. And I think that conversation, like with her and Brandon Sklenar, when they're having just these convos about like her past and about his past too, about like narcissists and trying to, get out of that and find hope on the other side. That was stuff for me that like elevated this movie above something else, where it was like, okay, I really like these two leads. They have good chemistry together, and the fun moments end in these very serious conversations about these serious things. So that all worked for me really well. Also, Christopher Landon, I think he had a lot of cool stylistic choices in this movie. As far as like, it's a big thing we've talked about is showing modern technology on screen and how they do it.
Yeah.
And I think with this movie, it worked well because obviously the airdrops and the text that she's getting are a big part of this movie. You have to show that. And instead of just doing like an over-the-shoulder shot of the phone, it has creative ways of showing the text like as part of the environment and the location. So you see it, and it kind of, it's a bit more creative than just a typical like, all right, here's like a screen that we're showing next to the character, and here's the text chain or whatever.
It's a little bit more stylistically done from what I remember, and in doing so, it helps to kind of raise the tension, which, like, you kind of get, like, it's kind of an annoyance of mine in movies where you get, like, the way texts show up on someone's phone and, like, the beat of it. Like, sometimes they'll play it to build suspense or to play a joke or something like that, and I'm like, that's not how people actually text. Like, that's not how things come through. Like, that's so movie text. And to a degree, it's kind of like that in the movie, but it services this movie, I think, the best I've seen it in terms of having the technology displayed on screen for an audience, so that it's not just that typical, hey, over the shoulder, oh, there it is, oh, there it is. It's like, okay, now we're doing something stylistic with it, and it kind of it worked pretty well in this movie, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's just a fun little sort of whodunit, too, of like in this restaurant, and it's like, well, they can only airdrop within 50 feet or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, and there's just cool choices with, like, she's looking around the restaurant being like, could it be him? Could it be him? Could it be her? Could it be her? And, like, Christopher Landon does a thing where he, like, shines a spotlight on those people as it's going around. Yeah. So it's just, like, little things that kind of make this movie pop a bit more for me. I think the third act gets a little bit too big and action-heavy.
Yeah. Where
it was just a really nice, solid thriller, and then there's the shot in the trailer where she's, like, hanging out the window. And then she has to leave that location, and it some of the, like, believability is like, are you making it to that location that quick
Yep.
to make that work? So there's just some like character choices in the back. With a movie like this, you kind of, there is a suspension of disbelief with like, well, why wouldn't you just do this?
Yeah.
I think it does it well enough where I didn't think that all the time. But in the third act, a couple of those things popped up.
Some logic jumps that were just like, okay.
Yeah, okay, whatever. And it gets just a little bit too big, I think, for its own good. But overall, really dug it. And also Brandon Sklenar. I think he was great in this.
Yeah.
I know...
Also, the most, like, charming date. Like,
Yeah.
I've never gone on a date with a guy, and you know what? I'd go on a date with Brandon
don't
Sklenar.
fucking lie.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, fine. Honestly, if I could go on a date with Brandon Sklenar, as he is, like, one of my top picks for, like, the DCU Batman, I'm like, yeah, put him in that. Like, he was great in this movie. It's also, I think this is the first movie I really saw him in. I know he was in, the one that's going through all the trouble with, like, the Blake Lively shit. Wasn't he in that?
It Ends With Us.
Yeah, he was in that movie. So, and I didn't see that. Heard all the negative stuff surrounding it. I'm like, I don't need to see it. But this was, like, my big exposure to him. I'm like, yeah, sold. I like him. He's charming. He has good... Like, as an actor, he's charming. He has good charisma. But also as a character, I'm like, he's doing the most to make this woman feel so comfortable on a date where she clearly is having issues based on her previous trauma, which my biggest issue is, like, I thought that some of that trauma bled through in a very blunt and abrasive way where I'm like, I feel like there is some subtlety to be had within that, but I agree with you. I think this is a good little thriller. It did remind me, and you mentioned Phone Booth. Phone Booth is a movie I grew up watching and loving, and there's very much aspects to that. With it being such a contained thriller with a small cast, to me, it was kind of predictable. At least, like, one of the people you could probably guess is behind this is, it's that person. All right, sweet. So, I'm happy that you got to see it and that you at least enjoyed it at least a little bit more than me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a pretty decent, tight little thriller. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of Christopher Landon stuff. I love Freaky, Happy Death Day, hit or miss massively. We talked about logic jumps within Drop. How the fuck? Little tangent on Happy Death Day 1. I didn't see 2 just because I'm like, I don't need that. The first one, I can't decide whether I like it or hate it. Love it or hate it. I like the premise of someone reliving the same day of them getting murdered and them having to try and figure it out. You didn't take the one after all these, like, 15 times of you getting stabbed. You just never had the strength to muster up to just lift that mask and find out who was killing you the entire fucking time. You couldn't do it once. Bullshit. Bullshit. This is the dumbest fucking thing in the movie. It just, sometimes logic leaps happen in movies where you just have to be like, okay, that one I can't forgive. So I can't watch that movie without being like, this pisses me off so much. But Drop, I do think, is a way tighter film than his Happy Death Day movies, even more so than Freaky. Freaky I really like, but I think pacing issues kind of exist in that movie. Drop is a pretty tight, contained thriller, and it works for the most part. So happy you got to see it.
Yeah, these are movies that I love, kind of contained thrillers. Yeah. So this one just really worked for me. I think kind of an underrated movie from earlier this year. So would recommend. It's on Peacock right now. Definitely check it out.
This is like, honestly, if Redbox was still like a bumping thing, if I Redboxed this movie, I'd be thrilled with it. I'd be like, this is an awesome just rental pickup thriller where it's just contained in one moment or one location. That is what this movie would have been perfect for me.
Yeah, just absolutely.
Redbox movie.
Yeah, and definitely my favorite of Christopher Landon's movies that I've seen of his.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I would change Freaky with it, and then we just flip flop those.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Another movie that I think is very underrated and didn't hear anybody talk about, and we probably shit on it when it was coming out, and we were like, whatever, this movie's coming out too. The Woman in the Yard came out earlier this year. I think also in the spring, around the same time, maybe
March or April, probably.
Something like that. It's a horror movie directed by Wame Colette Serra, who has done a wide variety of things. Very diverse filmography. Some horror movies with House of Wax and Orphan. The Shallows, sort of a shark horror movie. And then Liam Neeson action with Nonstop, The Commuter, some other Run All Night. And then some kind of like Black Adam, a superhero movie, Jungle Cruise, just like a weird filmography that's kind of impressive, honestly, of just how like solid he's pumping out stuff.
Wame Colette Serra reminds me of like, not to put this in like football terms, but like in the NFL where you need like a solid backup quarterback. That's him as a director. He comes in and he delivers like a pretty good thriller or a pretty good action movie or a pretty good horror film, and it's just like
Case Keenum.
Yeah, he's the Case Keenum of the directing world, which is a crazy, or maybe he's the Carson Wentz of the directing world. world. Who can say? We don't know. We need to see more games with Carson Wentz starting for the Vikings.
That's right.
We'll see. But it's just, I've never been like super excited for his work or his movies, and then I'll see him and I'll be like, it's a good fucking time. Like, whoa, okay, didn't expect that. Like, Black Adam I like more than the average person. Carry On was pretty decent. So it's just, I never get stoked. But then I'm always like, you know what, this dude, he doesn't really like miss. Like, I haven't been in a movie of his and been like, this sucks ass.
Very consistent. And he continues that here with The Woman in the Yard. And the movie stars Danielle Deadwyler, who, again, is somebody else that's just in the past few years has really been rising up and popping up in more things. She plays a woman that loses her husband, and she has 2 kids, and they start to see this mysterious woman pop up in the yard. You probably saw the trailers of this woman covered in black, just sitting in a chair in their yard. I'm not going to lie, the trailers kind of look goofy.
Kind of generic, too, just like formulaic.
I was like,
it's a haunting.
It's whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's what I went into, and I was just like, I almost didn't watch this movie, because I was, like I said, I had Peacock again for a little bit, and I'm like, I'll watch it. It's from this year. Want to catch up. And I was really surprised by this movie. I think that it starts out, and it is sort of formulaic in a way, but I think one thing that I really like is that horror movies that have like the villains or the ghosts or whatever it is in daylight is just scary to me.
Yeah.
That's something Midsommar did really well, where it's every horror movie is in the creaky dark, in the dark hallway, and the stairs, and everything like that.
Have you seen Wicker Man?
I've not.
I want you, not the Nick Cage one, which I haven't even seen. I haven't seen that movie to completion. That sounds bad. Shut up. In full, I haven't seen the early 2000s Nick Cage Wicker Man, but I want you. I don't know where you are in your alphabet rewatch. If you get to W, or if you've already gotten past W, maybe just jump back and watch Wicker Man. Wicker Man holds up immaculately.
Okay.
It's such a good horror film.
All
in daylight. It's very much Midsommar, but
sure.
the 70s.
Yeah, definitely been on my list, so I may have to do that for my W. But yeah, I guess another W, Woman in the Yard. It's, again, kind of like Drop It has themes that elevate it above just a regular haunting movie, where it really is Danielle Deadwyler dealing with the loss of her husband and the trauma and grief, which isn't something new to horror movies. Yeah. That's a big theme in a lot of them.
Like Babadook came out and they're like, all right, so every horror movie is going to be about grief now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And it's, so it's not like something completely original, but I think it is nice because on the surface it's one thing, and you see, early on in the movie you realize that she lost her husband. But then you kind of learn more about their relationship as the movie goes on, and where they were at before he died, which is really interesting to see. And the kind of point of the movie is that this woman in the yard, this demon horror thing, whatever it is, I don't want to spoil it really. It's manifesting the darkest parts of yourself, the darkest parts of your grief and your trauma. And as Danielle Deadwyler's trying to raise her 2 kids that have a lot of questions, and are also like, what is this woman sitting in the yard for? While Danielle Deadwyler, she's also injured in the movie, so she's on crutches, which kind of adds another element of, like, we can't really leave, and the car is broken, and all that, so they're stuck at this house. And it just, I don't know, there was a lot of little things that really elevated it for me. And I think the ending of this movie is great. I don't want to spoil it, but it really does leave it up for interpretation of where it shows you something and then it cuts to something else so quickly, and you're like, oh, what are we doing now? What are we doing here? And then it ends, and it ties in with something that was brought up earlier in the movie with spelling and the way that words are written. That was really interesting, and I didn't think would come back, but was just, I don't know, it was a really cool ending. I even just reading up like other people's interpretations of it and like comments of stuff was really fun to see. So I think this one is really good, and I don't quite know why people didn't talk about it earlier this year, honestly. I think it's really solid, and I would recommend it to you to see for October coming up here and doing horror movies. You may not like it as much as I did, but I think it's worth watching and worth like a good conversation if you did watch it, to have like a spoiler discussion about it, just to see how you interpret the ending and what you think actually happened, because I kind of have my thoughts, but this one was really cool. I dug this movie. I think it is better than a lot of haunting type movies. Danielle Deadwyler's great. Ties into some of those themes of the darkest parts of yourself coming out and how you respond to that. So would recommend this one as well. There's a couple good things on Peacock. If you want to check out Drop and The Woman in the Yard, I think both are very worth your time.
Yeah, The Woman in the Yard was one that I debated on because I think it was still in the early part of the year where we weren't getting as many like big releases. So I was like, there's some lulls in the theater. I could go see this movie or I could go see that. And I just missed The Woman in the Yard. There was a week where I honestly thought I was going to go see it and I just didn't. I can tell you why not a lot of people talked about it. It looks like roughly around 23 million worldwide. So it's like, okay, well, it didn't do gangbusters. I'm sure it had a pretty small budget, and Blumhouse made up a decent profit off of it, hopefully. Danielle Deadwyler being in it, she's quickly becoming one of my favorite actresses between what piano lesson she was in and also 40 Acres. She is sensational. She can really lead and be a very strong, unmovable force in a film. To see her in a horror film, do you think, okay, so is this more like, are there scary aspects of this film? Are there moments in this film where you're like, oh, like that maybe raised like hairs on your arm or actually scared you? Or is it more just like, does it kind of fall more into like a thriller type territory?
There are some unsettling kind of imagery in the movie. There's a lot of great use of shadows just with this Woman in the Yard kind of using that. There's some scenes in an attic that are pretty cool. And also it does stuff where it reframes things from another character's perspective. So you like see something and it goes back in the third act and shows you the flip side of it. Yeah. So I think it does a lot of that stuff well, but it's not like a super scary movie. Okay. So I wouldn't go in expecting like, wow, this is going to terrify me. Yeah. It's just, I think really, really solid.
Yeah, and that's honestly, I think a failure of like most modern day horror film marketing is just like the scariest film of the year. Like you need the clickbaity type thing, and it gets annoying. But this is a movie I missed. Like we talked about, Wami Colette Serra doesn't really, at least from what I've seen, I didn't see Jungle Cruise. I didn't see House of Wax. There's a couple of movies in his filmography I haven't seen, but from what I have seen, I don't think the dude really misses, and I think he can really provide a great time, especially at the theater. So I will likely end up checking this one out. I didn't know that you were setting out to watch this one this week, and this is a good little piece of homework that I'll probably have to finish and maybe get back to you on next week, because as I'm getting into my late September, early October, Halloween time, and I've been watching a lot of horror projects, and the biggest thing is I always want to show myself something that I haven't seen before, because like obviously you can fall back on classics like Halloween and stuff like that. But I will definitely look to check this one out. I'll probably just have to rent it on Prime, just because I will, no matter how much money I ever make in my life, I don't think I'll ever get a Peacock subscription. So I'll probably just have to rent it on Prime, but that's fine. So yeah, maybe I'll be able to get back to you on what I thought of that movie, because you've kind of raised my, not necessarily my expectations, but my excitement level for visiting this movie. Something I thought I'd probably miss out until maybe a slow fucking winter day. Yeah,
I think an interesting movie to talk about for sure.
Yeah, all right. So with it kind of being October, I did do a little bit of a, it's hard to say a classic because the movie is still so recent. It came out in 2024. But already a classic within me and my wife's relationship is Lisa Frankenstein, a movie that didn't get the best reviews when it came out, but me and my wife, upon seeing the first trailer of this woman reanimating this corpse via a short-circuiting tanning bed, fucking sold. I was like, that is the shit I need. Also coming from director Zelda Williams, daughter of the late, great Robin Williams. And also written by Diablo Cody, which, if you've never seen Jennifer's Body, fucking watch Jennifer's Body.
It's really good.
It's awesome. That movie is so good. It's so quotable. It's
Megan
hilarious.
Fox is great.
I remember staying up so late at night to watch Adult Swim. Like, Family Guy would come on Adult Swim, and then you'd get, like, the horror movie trailers, and Jennifer's Body would come on, and just be, like, a scantily clad Megan Fox vampire, and I was like, sold. Which the movie has that, but it's not about that. It's a much more like irreverent and funny high school drama with vampire. Just the movie works, and it's so engaging, and I've never seen high schoolers written so accurately. And Lisa Frankenstein, it kind of delivers on that same kind of vibe as Jennifer's Body. This film is starring Katherine Newton, Cole Sprouse, Carla, is it Gugino, who is obviously in a lot of the Mike Flanagan projects and is sensational in everything that she's in. Isn't she the mom in Spy Kids? I think she is. Yeah. That's crazy. Awesome woman. She's the mom in this movie, or the stepmom in this movie, and she's a bitch. And the movie makes a point. That is one of, like, this movie's great. If you haven't seen it, it kind of got, I think, it drew the short straw in terms of like critics' reactions. I don't think people really gave this movie its flowers. But there is a moment that in this movie that me and my wife quote fucking weekly throughout the year, not even just September, October, of just this woman on the phone looking for her mom and describing her mom, and on the other end of the phone call, you can be like, they are hearing all this input from this really concerned daughter as she's like, this is what my mom wears, this is the perfume my mom wears, this is how my mom dresses. And then you get this amazing reaction of this worried teenage girl being like, yeah, she's a bitch. Like, it's so funny, and I love this movie. This movie is so tongue-in-cheek. It has great high school dynamics, but also it feels like an ode to like the Edward Scissorhands and the early Tim Burton work, and also like Heathers. Like, it works so well. It transcends genre and time. Like, it goes back and ties into a lot of stuff that is kind of quintessential 80s horror or 80s kind of coming of age horror or whatever you want to say. So I love this movie. I'm not going to go too much in depth in it. It's a movie from last year. If you haven't seen it, I would say go check it out. It's a great movie, especially to watch around this time of the year, and it's very funny. I remember really loving it the first time. This is the second time I've ever seen it, and upon rewatch, I was like, damn, I did not anticipate it to land these jokes as hard as they're landing for the second time. Like, I knew this joke was coming, and it still crushed it for me. So it's a very enjoyable film. I don't think a lot of people did see it, and a lot of people that did were like, it's fine. I think it's great. It's worth your time. Check it out. I know you've seen it. I think this movie's so fun. This
movie's really good. Yeah, perfect for the Halloween spooky season. There's a line in this movie that I just wanted to write down again because I've always agreed with this sentiment. There's the age-old saying that time heals all wounds. And Catherine Newton has a line in this movie where she says, they say time heals all wounds, but that's a lie. Time is the wound.
Yeah.
And that line just kind of came out of nowhere in the movie, and I was like, whoa.
Wasn't expecting that from this.
I really like that. Yeah, I really agree with that.
Pretty profound.
I think that's one of the stupidest sayings of all time. Anyways, but no, it is a really fun movie, though. I really like it. Moving into some TV stuff for this week. Gonna do a spoiler alert for Peacemaker, Season 2, Episode 6, the season as a whole. I think it's, for this episode especially, getting into spoilers is kind of important and hard to talk about without going into it. So, we get, first off, I want to point out before we get the title song for this, we have Peacemaker sitting in the alternate dimension with the top trio. They're in a restaurant. They take a picture with some fans, and then it's like the picture, and then it starts like drooping the faces, and it's really freaky and unsettling. And then it goes into the theme song and everything, which is fun. Kind of sets up the mood for this episode, where we learn that the alternate dimension is Earth X, where
surprise, surprise, it's not all good and sunshine and rainbows over in Earth X.
That's
like,
right.
Bad.
And it's a Nazi alternate dimension where there's only white people over there. I know you were telling me, like, why is that so bad?
Okay,
like,
don't fucking say that.
You were like, well, I know they like pointed as like a villainous thing, and you were like, I don't understand what the issue was there.
No, shut the fuck up.
And you're like, I would have been chasing at the end
Shut
too,
up.
I think. So it was kind of a weird comment from you, but anyways.
That is a horrible fucking thing to put me. That's a horrible pickle to get me to try and get out of. Like, you paint me into a corner and I can't defend myself.
I don't know. You said it, man. So
I didn't say that at all. Deny. Okay. I did not say that.
Whatever.
Fuck you, dude.
It's off camera. You is different, so that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, a little weird, but no. This one was very much what I was hoping for from the season of like getting this moving a bit in this alternate dimension. You get a lot of good stuff with Harcourt and Peacemaker. They have a really great conversation in like a boardroom, a conference room, where they're talking about their relationship, and she's like, we want you to come back to this world. We want you to come here. And Peacemaker's like, I still love you. Like, I want to be with you despite all your flaws. And she's like, are you going to come back if I say yes? Or are you going to stay here if I say no? Really good stuff, and great acting from Jennifer Holland and John Cena in that scene for sure. They're just very emotional and very raw. That was honestly my favorite scene from this episode. But really good stuff. I mean, we get a Lex Luthor cameo in this episode, which we knew that these last three were going to have some cameos and big things. I mentioned to you before we started recording something I was confused about. We don't get comments on our videos, really, ever.
Or audio,
or anything, but if anybody knows this, and I was just confused because throughout the first half of the season, they were tracking anytime Peacemaker opened up the portal to go to the quantum unfolding chamber.
Access the other dimension or whatever.
So they got a ping, and they're like, all right, he opened it. Let's go check it out. Let's see what he's doing.
What's this anomaly that's popping back up that's similar to Metropolis? Like, what's going on?
And then he moved it to his grandpa's cabin, and then they still tracked him there, and they were trying to find out what was going on. But then in this one, they go to Vigilante's mom's house and open it. And I guess for some reason they can't track it there. And then they need to go get Lex Luthor's help to track the portal. I don't understand what happened and why they can't track this thing anymore.
Again, yeah.
Maybe it's just because they wanted to have Nicholas Hoult in the show and connect the DC universe. Cool, whatever. This isn't really a big deal. It's just a little nitpicky, confusing thing.
Is this a plot hole or did I miss something? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so if I missed a line of dialogue, let me know. Anyways, that's a small little thing. Great episode. I really liked it. I thought it was awesome. The ending is obviously very impactful, all jokes aside from what I was saying before. Just Adebayo walking through this neighborhood and you see people just like shocked at seeing her there, and then chasing her to end the episode was really impactful.
That, and after like having all this time to kind of theorize of like, okay, well, when's the second shoe? When's that last shoe gonna drop? Like, when are we gonna find out why this isn't the best dimension? Why this isn't everything that Peacemaker wants in life? And when you get a conversation between Daniel Brooks when they're in that alternate dimension and they're just at Peacemaker's family home and they're trying to figure out, what do we do? And they're cleaning up after Eagly, and John Economist is like, we traveled to a different dimension to still clean up after this fucking eagle. Like, I'm like, John Economist is an MVP.
He's great.
He's the best part. But as soon as Daniel Brooks was like, because I've heard theories, and when Daniel Brooks is like, I'm going to go for a walk. We should go for a walk. We should clear our head. And Johnny's like, I'm staying here. And I was like, okay, I think I can kind of... This is a little telegraphed. I think I know what's going to come. And you get Daniel Brooks walking on the sidewalk, and just a woman locks eyes with her, staring darts in her as she's driving by. Just, what the fuck? And just keeps driving, and Daniel Brooks is like, oh, that was weird. And then we get Roy from The Office, top trio. What's his name?
David Denman.
Pulling up in his big old truck. Sees Daniel Brooks, slams on his brakes, which, like, shit's hitting the fan, but also that extended, him just braking is just very funny to me. That, like, the delay in that, as Daniel Brooks is kind of like, what the fuck's going on? And then everyone's like, a black, and you were like, oh god, she needs to run, because everyone's coming out their front door, like, after her, and then also pairing that with, Christopher Smith, like, it's a little convenient. It's a little too perfect to have these moments edited together of like, oh, now this is when Christopher Smith is also finding out, oh, you pick up the little American flag decorative thing for a desk and it has a Nazi swastika in place of the stars on the Stars and Stripes, and it's just like, okay, that's a little too convenient the way that that's edited for me, but I get it, and it works well because then you get hardcore, like, oh, this is your perfect dimension, you fuck it, like, it works really well. I was waiting for this, and after a lot of like theories that I've heard building up to this of, I think this is what Earth X is going to be, or I think this is what this other dimension is, for it to be revealed is that I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I kind of get why it was slow to get to this point, because I can't imagine that they would have so much open room for storytelling in the back half of the season to really explore how we get the fuck out of here, because this is a shithole. So in a way, I kind of am forgiving them for slowly developing the story and getting us to everyone being in Earth X and realizing, no, Christopher, you're a fucking idiot. This is bad. You didn't put two and two together. There's one black person and everyone's chasing the black person. Like, this is bad. So I like this episode a good amount. I did enjoy Vigilante. It happens a lot in shows where they're like, guys, before we go into my childhood home, I need you to know my mom's a fucking bitch. And then they go in, and the mom's like, oh my god, friends are here! Like, they're just the nicest, like, salt of the earth people. And Vigilante's like, God, would you just shut the fuck up? Would you just leave me alone?
Oh, your slutty girlfriend's here? Harcourt's like, yeah?
You told me I was your girlfriend. And I'm slutty.
Okay, it's like, no.
Which, Jennifer Holland, like, you mentioned it, this is the best acting I've seen of her, at least in this show, and I was really blown away. Also, like, John Cena, I don't think always gets his flowers. Comedically, he gets them. I think more so than as a dramatic actor. He really gets recognition for how good he is in certain scenes. And in that little interrogation kind of holding cell scene and moment between him and Harcourt and Jennifer Holland, it works so well. I bought everything that was being said. I understood their chemistry, and sometimes it's a little tired to be like, oh, I'm me, I'm fucked up, I'm not good, I can't do relationships, like, I hurt people, I go to the bar to get in fights. I don't know why I'm getting a little bit of like a Boston, New York accent, but like, I go to get fucked up at a bar. And like, I get that, it's a little bit overplayed, but I think it's handled so well in terms of the performance that it kind of assists that story-wise, and it makes it believable, and it worked for me. So I'm really excited for episode 7. Now that Alien Earth, which we'll touch on in a second, now that that's wrapped up, I really only have Peacemaker week to week, aside from Great British Baking Show, which I haven't brought up. I watch that every week, and that's fucking sensational. It's the best show ever made. And I watch that with my wife. It's happiness in a fucking hour. So, but aside from Alien Earth wrapping up, I have Peacemaker every week, and I am really excited to see, especially with all the talk of like, oh, well, there's a lot of cameos and kind of member berries and characters that come up and potentially shit. So I can't wait to see kind of where the rest of the season goes and where it wraps up. But I did highlight Alien Earth did wrap up this past week. We had episode 8, the end of season 1. So looking back at the season, now that we have the complete picture, and we've talked about this off camera, we've talked about it in the past weeks of how well this show has worked, especially in its sci-fi, what it develops in terms of other technology, other creatures within this world, and kind of Prodigy versus Weyland-Yutani, all this shit. Now we have episode 8. We have the resolution, or at least somewhat of a resolution. There's probably going to be a season 2. We knew this. Noah Hawley, I think, came out in an interview. He was like, I have like some character arcs that are going to go.
Not officially renewed yet, but
will
there
be,
certainly could be.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised if they didn't renew it. I'd be pissed if they didn't, just because I'm like, this is where we're ending. I don't hate that we're ending here. I get why we're ending here, but like, come on. Don't do this to me. Not that it's a cliffhanger. It's just like, after this episode ended, I looked back at some of earlier moments in this season where I was like, okay, we're moving slow, but this show is still pretty cocksure. I know where it's going. Like, it's fine. Like, it works. And it does work. The sci-fi is great. It's very heady. It explores different things in the Alien universe that I didn't really anticipate seeing, and I really appreciated. But I'm like, all right, well, Corey, you mentioned it off camera, so I'm sorry. I'm going to take a little bit of your opinion. Those first 5 episodes are pretty great. A little sloppy now that we got episode 8, looking back at 6, 7, and 8. What are your thoughts on this finale and kind of the structure of this season overall?
Yeah, spoiler alert warning for this as well. Like you said, I love the first 5 episodes. I think we mentioned a lot of having a great balance of that heady sci-fi with some great alien action.
Yeah, you got the alien
paired
franchise
that
still
really well. Episode 5, that flashback, is still my favorite of the season.
Yeah.
That one works for me so well. We touched on episodes 6 and 7 in the past couple weeks, and I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. I was kind of holding out to see how it ended, to kind of do a reflection of see how I felt about the season as a whole. And I think that these last 3 episodes felt like they were stuck in place a little bit, where we're on this island pretty much exclusively. And although I like that, I think the main things that didn't work for me is that because these main characters, these kids, are hybrids, I never felt the fear or the tension that they were all going to die. Like, we see one of them die in the like cage, whatever it is. But because they're all hybrids, it's like, I'm not really feeling like the xenomorph hunting them and these other creatures hunting them. I'm not like as engaged.
Yeah.
Also, I touched on it last week a little bit, and this episode confirmed it. Wendy, played by Sydney Chandler, is crazy overpowered in this show.
Yeah.
She was able to control xenomorphs in the past couple episodes, and we saw her like communicating. In this one, we see her just fully commit to being able to tap into any screen anywhere and manipulate it, and then also just pause any like synth. Like, she pauses the one bald dude. And just stops him. She's able to control the xenomorph. I'm like, all right, this is a bit too far of like trying to do something a little different in the Alien franchise and kind of like nerf some of these crazy iconic monsters a bit. I'm not personally a fan of that. I think it could have been done in the right way, but I just don't think this was the way to do it. So it dropped some of that tension for me when I'm like, okay, well, she can do anything and she can control everything, so why am I feeling any sort of tension at all? So not that these last 3 episodes were bad. I still do enjoy it, but I think it just lost a little bit of that, the great writing from the first.
And I think the intrigue, too, of just like, what's going on. Once we got to the island, all the mystery, I feel like, kind of stalled out, and we kind of knew where it was headed. Like, I wasn't surprised by the resolution of this episode. It just wrapped up, and I was like, okay, this is just where we're choosing to... Okay, fine, whatever. Like, I'm not surprised. So, I feel like it was a lot of jogging in place, and I feel like they had 3 episodes to tell a story of them on this island. What are we doing next? And I don't think that they had enough story for 3 full episodes of it.
Yeah. Just a little bit inconsistent writing in that last part, too. But still, overall, I did like the season. Even these last 3, I enjoyed being in this world again. I liked this sort of different take on it. Getting more world building, I think, is the thing I appreciate most about this. So, good show for sure. As far as... I just wanted to do a quick Alien rank, and I wanted to ask you as well. I'm not going to spend a ton of time, because we'll maybe do more videos in the future breaking out franchises and going in depth. But as a quick ranking of the movies and the show, I would go Alien, Aliens, Alien Romulus, Prometheus, Alien Covenant, Alien Earth, Alien 3, and Alien Resurrection. And I'm not going to include the AVP movies, because that's kind of a separate, weird little thing.
The first AVP, big guilty pleasure. Every time that came on FX, I'm like, I'm watching the shit out of this. Yeah. Requiem sucks dick. It's so bad.
It's dark. It's bad.
Not a good movie.
But what do you got for a quick Alien ranking?
That's hard. So I know Alien is clear and far away. Alien and Terminator are kind of similar franchises to me, where those first 2 are obviously the classics, but I prefer the first one of both franchises. Alien, anything that's more horror leaning, I prefer. Alien is a perfect movie. It's in my top 30 of all time. I love it. So Alien far and away is my favorite of the franchise. Aliens has grown on me over time. I remember the first time I saw it, I didn't like it, and after a while it really worked on me, and obviously after many rewatches it's really grown on me, so also just so quotable. Alien Romulus would be number 3 for me, and then I'd probably say Prometheus, and then Alien 3, Alien Earth, Alien Covenant. And of those projects, movies and TV shows that I listed, there's not one that I dislike. Like, I like Alien Covenant. I feel like you and I, for Prometheus and Alien Covenant, we're kind of like the apologists. I really don't think Alien Covenant's a bad movie. It's an alien movie. It's just, there's lapses in judgment in terms of these scientists just being complete fucking dumb asses for portions of the movie. Shit needs to happen for the plot to happen. I'll forgive it a certain amount, and that's fine. And I think it works. And also, you get Danny McBride in the Alien world. So
incredible.
Fucking awesome. Yeah. Perfect casting for that. James Franco gets torched in the first 2 seconds. Great for that. Sorry, Harry Osborn. They were only good in that. I'm joking. He is good in The Disaster Artist. He's good in a lot, but he's a bad dude. Yeah. But so, the Alien franchise, it is pretty consistent for me, even though I think if you ask like the general viewer of the franchise, they'd be like, there's ups and downs. I'm like, it's pretty steady overall with some like really high highs, but I don't think there's like really any big lows. I really do like Alien 3, especially whatever I think it's the
assembly cut.
Assembly cut. I love that. Like, I think that works really well. Sometimes it kind of takes away from what the franchise grows into and like derails some of the story, especially with what you get with Ripley in the text of Newt in is it Nix? Hicks, almost. Newt and Hicks. It's like, okay, well that's kind of upsetting, but I hated Newt, so I'm fine with her dying.
I noticed you didn't mention Alien Resurrection in your ranking.
Oh, okay. The basketball scene in that movie's great.
Well,
so okay, there is one kind of, but it's like also like a guilty pleasure monster movie. I don't hate that. It's just not great. So there is one kind of meh spot, and that would be obviously my lowest ranked behind Alien Covenant.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the show overall. I think that some of the clunky writing towards the end kind of does fail it. I don't love where we left off. I could have done with a little bit more resolution. Also, this might be selfish, but I wanted that Kirsch and Morrow fight to just be a tad bit longer. I feel like we were leading up to that for so long, and it was kind of done pretty quick. I'm like, well, I really have grown to like both of these characters a lot, so can we really spend time on this? Also, I think Wendy is not the most active participant in that finale. She just kind of ends up where she ends up, and I'm like,
They're just in a cage for a lot of it.
Yeah, and it just I feel like I needed her to have like a big moment, and I just didn't really feel like I got that until like we get that final kind of encounter. I don't want to spoil everything, but also what you were saying about her being or them all being kind of overpowered, her being able to communicate with the xenomorph when the xenomorph is not in the facility, just like what kind of fucking hearing does this bitch have, this xenomorph, to hear the little clicks of the tongue? Maybe a mile away. Like how is that being transported? I don't know. Some of the stuff just didn't fully work for me, but overall it is a strong first season. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm a big fan that Alien gets to exist not only in film, but also we have a TV series to kind of support it that is really strong. So.
My favorite favorite performance in this season was Moro, played by Babu Sise, who was great. I thought he was kind of acting circles around other people, and part of it is like the actors were acting like children, so some of the dialogue is a little bit weird too, which I understand, but I'd be down for a season 2 if they wanted to. If they left it here, I could also understand that as well, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I think there is more story to tell if they wanted to.
It's given me enough to where I'm like, I want a season 2, but I don't know if I want a season 3. Like, I'd be fine with, like, this is the first half of the story, and now season 2 is the second half, and then we're done. I'd support that.
Yeah, 100%. The last little bit of TV that came out this week was Marvel Zombies. This is a 4-episode little animated show that they're doing, kind of like Eyes of Wakanda. I talked about that a few weeks back. This is a spin-off, or kind of continuation of the What If episode from season 1, What If Zombies, which is the zombie apocalypse breaks out in the MCU, and a bunch of your Avengers, your favorite Avengers, get turned into zombies. And this one kind of follows up on that. Sort of, Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel is the main character, kind of thread through all these things, but she essentially finds this thing that has hopes of curing the zombie apocalypse, so she's trying to get that to the people that need it. I really dug this. I thought this was cool. I wasn't crazy about Eyes of Wakanda, the 4-episode thing. I thought that was fine, just as like a little bit of lore building, but I didn't dig it all that much. Marvel Zombies was pretty fun for me, and I think one of the main reasons is that this, more than almost any live-action MCU movies, has given me the Avengers teaming up to do things together. Because this one actually gets like a lot of the voice cast together. You get like Shang-Chi, you get Scarlet Witch, you get David Harbour, Florence Pugh, like all the kind of people teaming up that you want to see, that we saw sort of in like phases 1, 2, and 3 when they would team up for like little things in the movies. This kind of gives that to you, and also What If did that in some episodes as well. So I think that's a strength of the show. Something that I've noticed with Marvel animation, both with Zombies and then Eyes of Wakanda, they're willing to like go a little bit more violent and show a little bit more blood and some really cool kills, actually. There's a lot of fun scenes of like Shang-Chi using his rings, and then like somebody shrunk down an Ant-Man size, like jumping through the rings and then just decapitating somebody. That's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. Like, as just a fucking comic book nerd, like that's fun to see. I like it. Also, we get to see Blade Knight.
I was gonna like Moonblade. I didn't watch this, but
it's Mahershala Ali is not the voice of the character. It's Todd Williams, but the likeness is Mahershala Ali, and the voice is an imitation of him. So it's sort of maybe a step into maybe someday possibly getting a Blade movie. Who knows? But Blade Knight is such a cool character. I love Moon Knight. I think that's a really cool show. Very underrated. I think that is. I love that show a lot, and then Blade is such a cool character, so combining the two is really fun. So you just get this fun group of characters just kind of navigating this post-apocalyptic wasteland of the MCU where there's zombies running around. You get a lot of voice cast returning. Wyatt Russell, also Haley Steinfeld, Dominique Thorne, just a lot of fun characters interacting within the zombie apocalypse. And the ending of this 4-episode show is actually kind of surprising where they left it off. They leave it open in a way that is I actually really like and didn't expect. I thought it was going to wrap up in this nice bow of like, this is our 4-episode thing and that's it. But they leave it in a place where I think is really cool and kind of a little bit darker than I expected. So I like this. I like this idea. I'd rather, have this than them trying to do, like, release a theatrical movie of, like, a Marvel Zombies and, like, just do a Disney Plus show. I know probably a lot of people aren't going to watch it, but if you were to watch one, and if you like that What If Zombies episode, which I actually really do enjoy, I think this is a nice follow-up. I think it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. Cool ending. Some bloody fun kills. And just getting a sense of, like, an Avengers team and kind of doing... trying to achieve something together is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest, like, nerd, or I don't stay on top of a lot of these extra Marvel Disney Plus projects, especially like the What If. I haven't watched any of What If. Actually, no, I watched the Captain Carter episode. Dug that. That was fine. I probably won't watch Marvel Zombies, but I am happy that these exist. I really love the Marvel presentations. I think that is, or special presentations. I think that is my favorite part of Marvel Disney Plus, like Werewolf by Night, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Like, I'm excited to see that develop, especially with the Punisher one that we have coming up next year. So I'm happy that these projects exist, even though I'm not, like, eagerly awaiting them and seeking them out right away when they drop on Disney Plus. I'm happy to have these as, like, a rainy day, like, little, like, voyage into the MCU that I haven't experienced yet, especially if it is more of, like, a what-if scenario. It's like, it's like, I don't need to see this, but I can, and it's fun, and I get to spend more time with similar or adjacent representations of these characters just in a different perspective or different story. So I'm happy that they exist. I've heard pretty decent things about this, so this one I might actually end up checking out. I believe it's just WandaVision. Is that the crux of it? Maybe, like... or at WandaVision. Wanda Maximoff is, like, at the center of it. She's kind of like the main
she's like
baddie,
the
right?
head of the zombie.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that, like, I'm down to see more bad Wanda in the MCU. So I'll maybe have to check this out eventually. I don't know if it's necessarily, like, appointment viewing, need to watch right now, but I'll probably get to it at some point. Moving into the new releases coming up at the end of this week, we have the first week of October. Are we getting some horror movies? Yes, but the movie that we're quietly, I think, anticipating a little bit more is a movie that's getting some maybe awards chatter for the lead performances. The Smashing Machine, directed by Benny Safdie, who obviously was one of the co-directors of Uncut Gems and Good Time, but also played... Frank Manatee in Happy Gilmore 2.
Yeah, breath was bad.
Yeah, thank you for including that note, because that is what people really need to know
Happy Gilmore 2, baby.
But he's a sensational director, and I can't wait to see him voyage into directing his own film on his solo directorial debut. We got film starring Dwayne Johnson, Emily Blunt, and Ryan Bader. This is the story of mixed martial artist and UFC champion Mark Kerr. These trailers, like, after hearing the story and this being A24 working with Dwayne Johnson, and Dwayne Johnson really putting himself out there and trying to develop his acting craft and work as a serious dramatic actor and not looking at making massive box office. Just, I want to be an actor that can act and maybe get me into awards contention. And that's what I keep hearing about this movie. So I'm pretty sold. I'm pretty excited. I can't wait to see this movie. This is the event movie of this upcoming week for me. Corey, where is your anticipation at for The Smashing Machine?
After, with this week, one battle after another, kind of being an Oscar kickoff, this one is another one that is in the conversation. Dwayne Johnson is certainly campaigning and putting himself out there for getting a nomination. We'll see. I love UFC. I like MMA stuff, so I like watching that, and I'm curious to watch this one. I don't know that much about Mark Kerr, actually, so just to see that. Emily Blunt seems like she could be a supporting actress nomination, possibly. Yeah. And the first half of both Safdie brothers releasing a movie that kind of has Oscar buzz with Marty Supreme coming out later this year. I'm very excited for this one. Another movie, kind of smaller one coming out this week that started to gain a lot of buzz after the trailer came out was Good Boy. And this is about a family that moves to a rural home, and the dog, who is the star of this movie, it's Indy. The dog's name is Indy. He starts to sense some supernatural forces that are kind of lurking in the darkness, and he's trying to protect his human companions. And this one looks cool. I mean, a lot of people were talking about this trailer being like, the dog better not die. That was kind of the main, conversation around it. But this one could be interesting. It sort of reminded me, like, a bit of Skinamarink in a weird way.
Just getting an interesting perspective in terms of like a normal or formulaic maybe horror film.
Yeah, which
I
like. I appreciate that movie. Again, that's one that like I kind of appreciate and don't love, but I think this one could be really interesting. And I don't know if I will see it in theaters this week. I'm not 100%, or if it's even showing. We'll see. But I'm very curious about it, and I think it'll be one that I watch for sure down the road, if not in theaters.
Yeah, I'm actually getting really excited for it. If it is showing near us, I will seek it out just because it is the horror genre. We're getting in that time of year, so I need to check it out. Also, like, the trailer wasn't like anything super investing to me. I just like the perspective that we're taking, so I'm really intrigued to see kind of what fresh take we can get on some of these formulaic scares just by having this new perspective. So I'll be checking it out. I'm pretty excited. But Smashing Machine will get the precedent. I will be seeing that first, and then if Good Boy is showing near us, I will check that out as well. Moving into a bit of a physical media roundup, it was a pretty dynamic week for both of us. I went and looked at my horror film catalog of movies that I want to watch. One of the movies I really want to watch, but I'm saving it until Black Phone 2, is Black Phone, directed by Scott Derrickson. Also a director of a phenomenal thriller horror film drama called The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I ordered the Blu-ray of that, and that will be coming in hopefully the next couple of days. I also ordered, and this is to also highlight how easily and impressionable I am. I saw a brief Instagram shot of the movie Faust, which I bought the Blu-ray of, the Kino Classics Blu-ray. It's a movie directed by F.W. Murnau, I believe, from 1926. So F.W. Murnau, he's like a acclaimed historical director of early days of cinema. He made Nosferatu. He also made Sunrise, which is the first ever Best Picture winner back in 1927. I remember that specifically because I remember my film professor tried to say that it wasn't Sunrise. Sunrise was the first film to ever win Best Picture. It was.
Wings?
Nope. That's the year after.
Really? I don't know.
If so, maybe I switched the years around. But I know Sunrise was the year, or was
one of the first. Either way,
it was one of the first films to win Best Picture. Now I need to fact check that, but I've definitely.
I'm looking it up right now.
Thank you. So I've seen shots of it, just the German expressionist type of shit, which got really kind of acclaimed for with Nosferatu. I'm really excited to see that in this film. It's an hour and 47 minutes, which is crazy to me that a movie from 1920s, like, they made movies that long. Like, that's just insane. So I'm excited to sit down and watch that. I'm sure I'll be watching that movie alone because I don't think I'll be able to convince my wife to watch that with me. Aside from that, modern release, I did pre-order the Fantastic Four: The First Steps Blu-ray Steelbook. Not the Amazon exclusive, even though that's the one I preferred. I like the style of that Steelbook. I got, I think, the more generic Steelbook, but I can't wait for that to come just because I really did love that movie, and it's nice to have, like, I have guilty pleasure Fantastic Four movies. It's nice to have an objectively, like, all film is subjective, but as close to an objectively good Fantastic Four movie as there is in a good copy in a steelbook. So I'm really excited for that.
So yeah,
was Wings 1926?
So Faust it didn't win.
Sunrise. We're looking at Sunrise.
Wings was the first movie to win Best Picture at the Oscars.
Sunrise was the next year.
Let me double check.
Is Wings 1926?
The Broadway Melody was the year after. Faust came out in 1926. It won like a couple of awards, like
looking at Sunrise,
Best Pictures of the Month, for like Photoplay Awards for something. I don't know what the fuck you're smoking, but
1929, Best Picture winner. I don't know why it came out in 1927. Sorry, this is gonna be the least interesting. Like
1929 was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Jesus fucking Christ! Let me look this up.
So
let me find out that I'm wrong on my own.
I'm going to talk about what I bought this week because I was really excited about this actually. Barnes & Noble had a 50% off sale on Kino Lorber movies, which they put out a lot of classic movies and just kind of older movies. I got Brick this week for $20. This is Rian Johnson's first movie, which I have not seen actually, and it's a detective movie, so I plan on watching this before Wake Up Dead Man comes out later this year. I'm really excited. I like the cover of this a lot. Also, one thing I want to shout out, if you have movies, and especially movies that have, this is going to be a very niche thing I'm pointing out here, but reversible cover art. So you have two different covers on there. Sometimes you don't know the cover is different if you have like a solid backing. So you actually have to like...
is this one different?
Well, it's like you have to like pull it out and look, because like you wouldn't know if you didn't see it through there. again, probably like 2 people in the world care about this, and it's you and I.
Yeah,
but
that's true. It's more just for us.
I just like having different artwork on there. I think it's really cool. But I'm excited to watch this movie for sure. This is the 4K Blu-ray. Like I said, 50% off on some Kino Lorber stuff at Barnes & Noble. So if you're looking for that, that's available right now.
From what I've been able to find, and I still could be wrong, so Wings won Best Picture. Mm-hmm. Sunrise won for Best Unique and Artistic Picture, which was then later retroactively named Best Picture. So it's like it kind of won Best Picture, but it didn't. Anyways, it's directed by a early film legend with F.W. Murnau. Obviously, he's probably more known for Nosferatu at this point, especially with the Robert Eggers film that came out last year. So I'm excited to see Faust, as it's not something I ever really had on my radar up until this point. So I'll check that out. And the Kino Lorber releases have been sensational, at least the ones that I own. I'm excited for you to see Brick. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, at least in terms of like the Rian Johnson filmography, I feel like people rate Brick pretty high up. For me, it might be my least favorite. I love Last Jedi. I love Looper. I love both of his Knives Out films that I've seen, and I still haven't seen
Brothers Bloom.
Bloom. So of his filmography, it's maybe my least favorite, but it's still a really good noir film. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it in the coming days.
Yeah, I'm very excited for it. Moving into a little bit of movie news, we had some trailers come out this week. The main one was The Mandalorian and Grogu, and this is the follow-up to the first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian, and we see Mando and Grogu on a little adventure, and we just get a lot of shots. We get the first look at Rada the Hutt, voiced by Jeremy Allen White. Haven't seen that character, since the Clone Wars animated movie from 2008. Remember that?
Did you
remember that?
No.
Oh.
Did you mention? I do, but I'm not happy about it. Okay.
All right.
Do you remember or not? Do you remember? Did you mention the new releases coming out this week?
Oh, I didn't. I totally missed that. Actually,
the first one is the one I'm most excited to buy.
Actually, let me go into that. Yeah, sorry. Before movie news, let me get into this. The Life of Chuck, which is Mason's favorite movie.
Favorite movie of the year.
Not my favorite movie of the year.
I want you to rewatch this.
But that's coming out on Blu-ray this week, and then we have a few older titles coming out. Perfect time for Halloween. We've got the Nightmare on Elm Street 7 film collection coming out on 4K.
Do you own any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films?
I don't, actually. I would buy a few of them. I'd buy a handful, but like if I ever found the collection for a good price, I'd just get them all. And then some Wes Anderson stuff was coming out. There was individual releases of French Dispatch and Isle of Dogs coming out on Criterion. And then they have a 10-film 4K collection coming out that's everything from his first movie up until The French Dispatch, so it doesn't include Asteroid City or Phoenician Scheme. So if you're looking to do a Wes Anderson watch through, this is your time to get it.
Criterion has too much of a hard-on for Wes Anderson for me.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting
it's a
French Dispatch. A good movie. I like it. That's gonna get Criterion. We got Killers of the Flower Moon sitting in the fucking rafters back here. That's not gotten a Criterion. Like, what is your why? Why does Wes Anderson get all these Criterions for some movie like Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou? It's not my least favorite of his works, but I'm like, really? Criterion? Yeah. Like, I don't need a French Dispatch Criterion. Like, that's just I don't get it. They just love to fucking.
It's a perfect format for Wes Anderson.
They love to wax their willy to that idiosyncratic weirdo. They just fucking love him.
That's right. So if you're looking for Wes Anderson stuff, a lot of it's coming out on 4K Criterion this week. A couple older titles, Dogtooth, which is one of Yorgos Lanthimos' first movies, which is really cool, really weird, very dark, but I really like it. It's coming out on 4K, and then American Pie is coming out on 4K as well.
Getting to see the Begonia trailer, because that played in front of One Battle After Another, and hearing people kind of like, okay, I want to see that. Mm-hmm. I'm so excited for anything Yorgos Lanthimos does, so I'm stoked for that. And I haven't seen Dogtooth, so I need to. I know you. I
recommend that.
I need to check that one out. Where would that? What is your Yorgos ranking if you wanted to look at Dogtooth on more recent stuff? That's a lot of movies, actually. So
it is a lot of movies. It's towards the bottom, but still, like, it's really high up for me. Or it's still a very good movie. It's really tough. I don't know. Poor Things is up there. Killing of a Sacred Deer, I really enjoy. Those are probably my top 2. Then like Lobster and Favorite are kind of next, and then probably Dogtooth. So I really like all of his stuff. He's very interesting. Oh wait, Kinds of Kindness. I also really like that.
Yeah, I was like,
I forgot about that one.
There's scenes in movies there are many scenes in movies that like whenever I see it, I think of you. There's a distinct moment in that movie where I think of you and I can hear you fucking laughing.
I love that
It's
movie.
when it's the dog's world.
Yes.
And they're driving, and also the dog
in the garage.
We'll leave it at that.
Some of the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god.
God, it's great.
You Michael Vick motherfucker.
It's funny stuff. I like it. It's funny. Okay, back. Now getting into movie news.
Yeah.
I mentioned Mandalorian and Grogu. We get the trailer, following up on 3 seasons of the show. Just kind of getting shots that look essentially like 4th season of a show, which I guess is making a lot of people angry that this is a movie.
Yeah.
I'm not in that camp. I'm excited for this. I think
Star Wars in theaters.
It's been 7 years since the Star Wars movie will be in theaters, if it does stick to this release date.
Yeah.
We see a cool shot at the end of the trailer of the AT-AT getting blown up and falling off a cliff. That looks cool. Like I said, Jeremy Allen White voicing Ron of the Hutt. We see a little shot of that. We get a little Babu Frick in there from Rise of Skywalker. Mando Season 3 we see. And just fun, more little cute moments with Grogu and Mandalorian. And I don't know. I'm excited for this. I like a little bounty hunter just going on a mission, having a fun little, however long, hour and a half, 2 hours of this movie. I think it looks cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for this. The trailer didn't really didn't change my feelings towards this movie. It does kind of feel like a continuation, just like of what a season 4 would have been for this show. So I kind of have built in like this expectation of this story within this movie needs to convince me that this needed to be a movie and not just a season 4 of the show on Disney Plus. So I'm looking for some of the spectacle. I think that's why we got that AT-AT shot in the trailer of it fucking slowly just leaning off that edge. I'm like, okay, that looks cool. So I'm like, give me good spectacle, give me good storytelling within this that really validates it coming to screen and being in theaters as opposed to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
But also, we had Sigourney Weaver in the Star Wars universe, and we got to see her in the trailer, so I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Love that.
I can't really complain too much about this trailer. It's what I was anticipating. I really like the poster, honestly, more so than the trailer. I was like, this feels like a serial, like, swashbuckling sci-fi adventure. I like this. This works.
I'm glad Jon Favreau is behind the director's chair. I think that's great.
Have faith in that. If the guy that made Chef sold.
Absolutely,
Make whatever you want.
Very excited. A couple other trailers that came out this week. We got the first little tease for The Bride, which is coming from Maggie Gyllenhaal next year in March. We're getting 2 Frankenstein movies pretty close together, with Del Toro's movie this fall, and then with Maggie Gyllenhaal's more focus on The Bride of Frankenstein, played by Jessie Buckley, who I love and I think is just massively underrated. Christian Bale plays Frankenstein in the movie. You have Penelope Cruz in there as well. So this one looked pretty cool. It was a nice little kind of violent trailer. I like seeing that. I like the ink blotty sort of text that they chose for it.
I like the Here Comes the Motherfucking Bride.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this is a little punk rock. Like, I kind of dig this. Christian Bale looks too Christian Bale-y for like a Frankenstein to me. I'm like, I feel like they could have done more makeup-wise to make him not look just so much like Christian Bale. But also, I'm like, I like the vibe that they're setting, and just they fuck shit up. They don't care. It's like a gothic, weird, the ink blotty world. I'm like, I dig this. The look of it really has worked for me. It's also just like surprising to see this from Maggie Gyllenhaal. I didn't see her feature directorial debut. It might be. Was it just straight to Netflix, or did it show in theaters?
I think like very briefly in theaters, but very good. The Lost Daughter.
Lost Daughter, yeah.
Yeah, Jessie Buckley, Olivia Colman, and then the screenplay got nominated for that. So I really like that one. I'd actually recommend that movie. I think it's very good. The other couple trailers, I actually didn't see this one. Greenland 2 Migration.
Also didn't see this trailer, so I was really hoping that you had, so you could say something about it.
Also haven't seen Greenland.
Haven't seen Greenland.
Can't comment on it, but I actually
heard good things.
I actually like kind of want to watch it, and I maybe will go see this in theaters as like the first movie of 2026. It comes out in January.
Yeah. Which usually like
Gerard Butler's got that locked down.
He's like, January? Yeah, I'm
plane? Sure. Yeah. Let's do Greenland, plane, and whatever else. Something, I don't know, the world's ending or something.
Geostorm. Fucking Geostorm.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was in January, but that
feels like it should have been, could have been.
Yeah.
Greenland, I guess the world ended in the first one, but I guess not. So the second one's...
Not fully, at least.
So they're migrating somewhere else, so I don't know. That could be fun. Other planets with Gerard Butler, if that's where they go.
For like apocalyptic spectacle or like big natural disaster movies, I heard a lot of great things about the first Greenland, so I was like, oh shit. But I'm like, we're getting a sequel? Like, why? Like, as obviously I didn't see the first movie, I don't know where they leave off, but I'm like, you could You just gonna fucking do it again? Like,
Let's
okay.
get drunk and go see this bad boy.
Oh,
That'd be a good little start to the new year.
double rum and coke.
Oh
fucking,
yeah, a little double gin and tonic for myself.
It's like when we saw Black Adam.
Yeah.
I will be dazed and dozing off in the first half of that movie.
That's how Gerard would want it.
He's like, this is how people like this shit. Just half asleep and drunk.
If it becomes the fourth Has Fallen movie halfway through, perfect. That'd be awesome. Greenland has fallen.
You have a collect call coming from Mike. That trailer, I think that's Angel Has Fallen. That trailer is
golden,
ingrained in my fucking
whatever
brain.
movie we saw, that we remember that shit. Anyways, the last kind of new trailer, the second trailer we got for Wicked for Good, more of the same. I'm excited for this movie. I know some of the things that happened in the second part of the Wicked play, just over a year of hearing about things, like just people that have seen it kind of have spoiled it, unfortunately, but they didn't mean to. But the trailer looks good. I'm excited to hear some of the... I think they're doing some new songs, actually, for this movie, which I'm excited for. That comes out in November, so I'm looking forward to it, and that one will also be in the Oscar conversation.
I will say, I think that this is the final trailer. I couldn't honestly distinguish too much different from like previous trailers. Maybe I just have a bad memory. But I'm so eagerly anticipating this movie. I loved the first film. I think it was my second favorite of last year. So I'm really eagerly anticipating this movie, and I can't wait to see it in theaters. I've heard from people that know the story that the latter half of this big play, big musical, is the weaker aspect of the story. So I'm like, all right, well, what are we going to use to deviate? Are we going to deviate much from the original material, or is this going to be something new, fresh? If there are going to be new songs, are those going to be good? Are they going to feel natural within the story? So everything that I've seen, I've been sold on. I am not the biggest diehard fan of Wicked. I've heard some people being like, this gives away too much or shows too many big climactic moments between Glinda and Elphaba. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm sold. I'm excited to see it. I'll check it out opening day. I'll probably see it twice in theaters. Moving into some more DC Universe news, James Gunn did kick off this past week, releasing somewhat of a cryptic kind of post on X, I believe, of the first draft of Man of Tomorrow, at least the script, and a release date of July 9th, 2027, which I believe we might have talked about before. But also, the thing that has gotten fans in a fucking tizzy is this just little image that's on that front cover of that script, which is detailed illustration of the human brain. So being every nerdy person in the world, or every DC nerd, everyone's just jumping, well, there's a brain on the fucking paper, so Brainiac's the villain, which they haven't really come out and confirmed, but there are a lot of kind of clues strongly suggesting that Brainiac will potentially be the main villain of this next Superman movie, Man of Tomorrow, and hints of maybe we'll get a Lex Supes kind of team up somewhat. They'll put their issues aside and address the bigger threat, like good old BVS, Dawn of Justice. Fuck it, let's do it again. Why not? So I'm actually really stoked about this. If this is Brainiac, I've always wanted more of that. We've had Zod a couple of times. I've wanted to deviate and go more into the rogues gallery of Superman, just because I feel like we have Zod and we have Luthor. All right, who else? Brainiac. We never have seen him really on the big screen. We haven't seen him on the big screen. And I think that is a character that I'm like, maybe they'd reserve that for a Justice League and make him a big ultimate threat that they build up to. Or is this a threat that Superman can go up against himself? I'm really stoked about it. If it is Brainiac, I'd be excited. I have been kind of itching to see this character brought to life on the big screen.
Especially after Peacemaker this week, seeing Lex Luthor maybe making a deal with Argus, kind of getting out of prison, or
out of Belle Reve, at least.
Out of Belle Reve, kind of getting those steps started. So yeah, I'm excited for that. Just seeing a new villain, I think that could be cool. I hope it will be contained within that story and not have to feel like it has to do DCU setup. Just tell me a cool Brainiac story. I'm down for that. We got a first cast photo for Spaceballs 2, very reminiscent of the first cast photo for The Force Awakens that came out in 2014 or whatever it was, which feels very intentional, obviously. So we just get more kind of confirmed cast for the movie, people that are returning. Rick Moranis, it's going to be awesome to see him back in the movie. It's been so long. He kind of retired, and he's coming back for this. Daphne Zuniga, Bill Pullman, Mel Brooks, George Weiner, obviously coming back from the original movie. Unfortunately, John Candy, it'd be so great to have John Candy if he were still alive. That would be amazing to have him back. I'm sure he would have been crazy on board for this. But then we have some new cast members coming in too. Josh Gad, Keke Palmer, Louis Pullman, and Anthony Carrigan. A lot of great people that I'm excited to see in this movie.
Who are you most excited for out of the new cast?
Out of the new cast, I don't know. Anthony Carrigan's always doing interesting stuff.
That's true.
Louis Pullman, though, just like after Thunderbolts, and he's just really fun to watch.
I think Keke Palmer, and I think of the scene in Nope where they fucking high five like 16 times. I'm so sold on her and everything. I love. Did you see Keke Palmer give Sean Evans a kiss in that little like Hot Ones interview that they did recently? Oh, that's kind of saucy.
It's what?
It's kind of saucy. They've been hinting at like shit. So I was just, like seeing that and like, hey, like Keke Palmer is like really flirtatious towards him. I'm like, all right, this is like wish fulfillment.
Go Sean Evans. Good for you.
If he could bag Keke Palmer, dude, bald, white, fucking just eating hot wings for a living, and now he's dating Keke Palmer. That's dude hit peak. Like he fucking did it. So I'm. Aside from that, I'm really excited for Keke Palmer just because I do think she's hilarious. And One of Them Days was a very refreshing comedy of this film or of this past year. So I'm excited to see her in just about anything. But you're right, Anthony Carrigan. He is just such a good oddball fill-in. Like, what are you gonna do here? What are you bringing? Not that I'm worried that you're gonna bring anything. I know you're gonna bring something. Just what the fuck flavor is that? So I can't wait to see him in this movie. A little bit of weird, surprising news to me, but also comes at the perfect time to talk about it because we do have a Rennie Harlin film in theaters which both of us didn't see. We didn't see Strangers Chapter 2. But we also, looking at Cliffhanger and all that, there is a new Cliffhanger reboot, which if I knew about this at one point, I completely fucking spaced on it because it's coming from Wame Colette-Serra, directed by Wame Colette-Serra, but the Cliffhanger reboot has landed at Roque Entertainment and will be starring Pierce Brosnan and Lily James. Roque Entertainment has acquired the U.S. rights to the Cliffhanger reboot in an 8-figure deal out of the Toronto Film Festival, and this, like I mentioned, was directed by Wame Colette-Serra and will be starring Bronson and James, and this is a reimagining of the 1993 kind of cult classic Sylvester Stallone film directed by Rennie Harlin that I fucking love and grew up watching. So I didn't know that this movie was being made. I didn't know that there was a cast assigned to this. I didn't know it was already showing. I didn't know Wame Colette-Serra directed this, and also Rennie Harlin directed the original. So I'm like, Woman in the Yard, Strangers Chapter 2. How are we going to make those relevant again? We'll talk about the Cliffhanger reboot that's coming with director Wame Colette-Serra. And that original film being directed by Rennie Harlin, I just thought that was too fucking perfect and so weird. Rennie Harlin, I don't think that you can make a good movie anymore, so I probably won't see Strangers Chapter 2. And whenever you make Strangers Chapter 3, I definitely won't see that. And I won't see Strangers Chapter 1. Wame Colette-Serra, I'll see just about anything you make, so keep it up, buddy.
I'll probably see the Strangers Chapter 2 tomorrow or Monday.
Okay. So, all right. That's a good fucking deviation.
I have the fucking autism's kicking in. I'm like, I gotta complete the watch through this franchise, you know.
I've heard from most reviews that it is better than the first one, which you've seen the first one being Strangers Chapter 1, and you've seen that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
You would hope it's better from how excited you are for that?
It's not a super high bar to clear, but it also I could imagine it being worse, so we'll see. Probably have a review next week. I actually haven't seen the original Cliffhanger, so...
It's awesome. It holds up so fucking well.
I've just seen the poster of Stallone hanging over the cliff, the mountain, whatever.
John Lithgow being one of the most memorable villains before his turn on, like, Dexter, where he was a fantastic villain, but, like, him playing cold, conniving, bad bitch... Dude works. I love him in that movie, and he's just great. So I'm really eager to see kind of who fills what role in terms of like the villain aspect of this rebooted Cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to watch the original and then see this one hopefully next year. We got some news on the sequel to The Social Network, which we mentioned a few months ago. Just kind of came out of nowhere that we're getting a sequel to that movie. And it's been titled The Social Reckoning, and it's coming out October 9th, 2026. Oscar season. Aaron Sorkin's directing it. Mm-hmm. His past couple movies have gotten nominated for movies. Trial of the Chicago 7, Being the Ricardos. Feels like another one that's going to be in that conversation for sure. Got it confirmed that Jeremy Strong is playing Mark Zuckerberg. We also have Jeremy Allen White, Mikey Madison, and Bill Burr in the cast. Fuck yeah, dude. Love Bill Burr, man.
That was also development this week, and I was like, all right, now I'm getting like kind of excited about this.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it when we initially talked about the announcement that I think The Social Network is one of the most important movies of this century.
Yeah.
That's my favorite Fincher movie. It's in my top 15 favorite movies of all time. I love that movie. I think it's one of the best written movies ever made. And it still has so much to say. Every time something new comes out about AI or social media, track it back to Social Network. That movie like predicted all of this shit and the dangers of it. So I just think that movie has such staying power. And so that sort of gives me hope that Social Reckoning could have something important to say too. But it could also just sort of feel like it's trying to capitalize on the success of that movie.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious. But the cast, I mean, is great. Jeremy Strong and Jeremy Allen White, they're going to be in Springsteen together this year. And then they're going to be in Social Reckoning. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm very curious about this one for sure.
Yeah, I'm eager to see the direction that they take. Also, Sorkin's writing this. Was he also attached to direct? I forget.
I think so.
If they had a director.
I think he is directing, yeah.
So, like, I have confidence in Aaron Sorkin, and if he thinks that there is a story to be told here, cool. But it also just feels like I don't want this to be too preachy. I don't want this to hit me over the hammer, which I don't expect that from Sorkin. But capitalize on a sequel to The Social Network while we were in the throes of AI really being incorporated into, I feel like, every aspect of life. It's like, okay, like what are we gonna do? What's this gonna be about? So I'm confident in the cast that they've assembled. Bill Burr gives some of the best performances in all of Star Wars in his few kind of guest appearances in The Mandalorian. So him as an actor works for me. Also, I think he was in The Heat as well. Maybe he had more hair back then.
King of Staten Island?
King of Staten... Oh my god!
He's really good in that
Holy
movie.
Holy shit, he was so good in that fucking movie. I love that movie. Yeah. So, like... him being added to the cast too also really excites me. Jeremy Strong is fantastic. The entire cast here is fantastic. So a lot of confidence to be had. One thing that was also reported this past week, maybe happened earlier, like September 19th. I think they had reports that this actually is when this occurred. But filming for Spider-Man Brand New Day has been underway for a while. There's been a lot of set photos and all that shit. But it has temporarily been halted after star Tom Holland has sustained a mild concussion during a stunt gone wrong at Leavesden Studios in the UK. I believe there's also another stunt performer in that scene that also was brought to the hospital, but everyone seems to be okay and should be hopefully back to work relatively soon and just have sustained some mild injuries. The 29-year-old actor was rushed to the hospital by an ambulance after repeatedly striking his head during the stunt. The fourth standalone movie, it's still looking, I'm guessing, to keep schedule, and they'll keep on track, and will be releasing globally on July 2026. It's just, I feel like we don't really hear a lot of big accidents or big injuries coming from lead actors on movies like this. So it's like, Tom Cruise, he can do his own shit, and I'm sure the insurance that they have to pack on a movie with Tom Cruise on it, they're forking money over. So I'm like, with Tom Holland, do you have that pull, or are you, by having an accident on set, does that put enough fear into the studio to be like, yep, all right, you can't do these anymore. We can't have you on the chopping block, essentially. We need to kind of keep you safe because you're our lead, and you can't really work around a whole lot of movies when the lead can't be on set necessarily. So it's great that it was just a mild concussion. Everyone seems to be okay. It's just kind of an interesting piece of information where I feel like we don't often hear of a lot of injuries on set. I feel like it's like afterwards during the press junket, they're like, oh yeah, I cut my film real bad. And it's like, oh, all right, well, good story here.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
They already got back to filming. They said it was like a couple days it was delayed.
Okay.
So they're fine. Zendaya gave him a little smooch, and he's okay on set.
I mean, how?
Or Jacob Batalon, I guess. Either one.
He probably prefer that, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, who knows? Or John Bernthal, if he was on set that day, he probably said, "Hey, get up, kid."
John Bernthal probably gave him a concussion.
Yeah, probably.
He said, "You see Fury? I'm gonna do that to you, dude."
He got in between Hulk and Punisher in a scene, and they just fucked him up, and he's like, "Whoa."
So, yeah, I'm happy that everyone's okay, though. Obviously, production's continuing on, and then we'll get that movie soon. It's so weird to hear of, like, little hiccups like that. Maybe it's just because this movie has been so in pop culture and so relevant, and we're getting all these set photos, everyone's kind of had their eyes on it, that we are hearing about something like this, because with it being something relatively mild, maybe we wouldn't have heard about this on a different production or a different set. So anyways, thanks for joining us for another episode of Slate Night, the Film Fan Podcast. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok. I have been so fucking lazy with our Instagram. I have not posted a review in a while. There have been a couple of movies that I have seen where I'm like, I should post a review for this, like Splitsville and One Battle After Another, and I likely will for both of those films. But follow us and you'll get more reviews if you don't want to watch a full hour and a half, hour 20, 2 hour long, whatever fucking length of time we're chattering on about specific movies. If you don't want to watch that and you just want to read a quick review and see if you want to go spend the time at the theater watching this movie, I'll try and keep you updated on that. Also check out our TikTok. That's where Corey kind of does a lot of his work, and also maybe you'll see more updates in terms of our film collections here in the future too. Don't forget to subscribe. In the world of film, it's not just about what's on screen, it's about who's next to you in the theater.
For Mason and I, Slate Night, that's a wrap.